الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We have reached the latter part of the apparent life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We spoke briefly in regards to the opening of Makkah, Fath Makkah के बारे में और वो जो वाक़यात जो पेश आए उनके बारे में भी हमने कुछ बात की थी. अब सवाल बनता है कि जब रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम इस दुनिया से वफ़ात पा जाएंगे, who will be the leader after him? Who will take command after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Now, as far as it comes to the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on numerous occasions, in numerous ways, he both indirectly and directly indicated कि मेरे बाद जो leader होने वाला है, जो खलीफा होने वाला है, वो है सैयदना अबू बकर सिद्दीक रज़ियल्लाहु ताला. और ये कोई खानदानी रिश्तेदार या ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. It wasn't because he was his family relation. In fact, Sayyidina Ali was closer related to him. Nor was it because of some personal preference. Rather, this was the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ka hukm tha. And how did this happen? What were the indications? Briefly, we will go through this today. But this is something which is very important, especially for the aqaid and the beliefs of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So for this reason, I would request your undivided and complete attention. First and foremost, one of the things which we see in the life of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq is that whenever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would take a position, then Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala and his position would match up exactly with the position of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. मिसाल के तौर पे सुलह हुदैबिया के वक्त आपको मालूम है, in the 6th year after Hijrah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went with his companions. वो गए थे उम्रा के लिए. दरमियान में कुफार ने उनको रोका, कहा कि हम उम्रा नहीं करने देंगे. So there was a back and forth and eventually they made a contract. एक सुलह हुई, उनमें कुछ शराइत थे. अब ज़ाहिरी तौर पर उसमें हर शर्त मुसलमान के खिलाफ था. Every single condition in that treaty of Hudaybiyah was against the Muslims on the apparent. Because of this, many of the companions, they were upset. In specific, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, he was very upset because he hated the disbelievers. Or he could not appreciate, he could not watch as the Muslims were humiliated, seemingly, by the disbelievers. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala an Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam को अर्ज करते हैं, says, या रसूलल्लाह अलसना अल हक, क्या हम हक पे नहीं हैं? अलैसु अल बातिल, क्या वो झूठ पे नहीं है? Are they not upon falsehood? Are we not upon truth? Then why are we being disgraced in our religion? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am the messenger of Allah, I am his servant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support me. And like this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered his questions. When Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala and he realized that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to go ahead with this, then who does Sayyidina Umar go to? He goes to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and he knows who's the second in command, who's the one that can convince Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he asks him exactly the same questions. Alasna ala al-haq, are we not upon the truth? Sayyidina Abu Bakr says, yes. Are they not upon falsehood? They are. Then why are we being disgraced in our religion? He is the messenger of Allah. He is the servant of Allah. Allah's support is with him. Exactly what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, word for word, even though he had not heard what he had said, but he gives the exact same answer as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at this matching. On the same wavelength, as we say, thinking the same way. And he encourages Sayyidina Umar, he says, hold firmly to the stirrup of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. कि आप मजबूती से रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को थाम ले, hold firmly, don't waver here and there. This shows the excellent knowledge of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. And for this reason, when the verse was revealed, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ne Rasulullah sallallahu ko hukum farmaya कि sahaba kiram se mashwara liya kare. Speak to the companions, take their advice. Not because he needed to, but to show the importance of taking counsel. जो मशवरा की जो अहमियत है, importance है, और sahaba kiram की जो fazilat hai. For this reason, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was commanded to seek counsel from the companions, and the ulama, they've mentioned in specific two individuals, Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. Yahan tak ki Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, one day he descended और कहा कि Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to take counsel of Abu Bakr Siddiq in specific. कि जब लोग देखे कि हर वक्त Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is taking the advice of Abu Bakr Siddiq, तो लोग समझ जाएंगे उसका जो मर्तबा है, मकाम है. People will begin to appreciate. And it is for this reason Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया कि अगर ये दोनों, these two individuals, अगर कोई बात में वो मुत्तफिक हो जाए तो मैं उनके खिलाफ नहीं होऊंगा. If Abu Bakr and Umar, they agree on a matter, then I, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, will not disagree with them. All of this is indication towards this idea. And this treaty of Hudaybiyah incident in specific, it shows how much Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was understood by Abu Bakr Siddiq. Another similar incident, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's lecturing the people, he's addressing the people, and he mentions a misal. He presents an example. कि Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ने बंदे को इख्तियार दिया, gave him a choice to a slave, that he chooses this world or he chooses the hereafter. People were listening. Rasulullah at this point, there's no illness or anything like this. कोई इशारा भी नहीं है. No one is thinking of anything like this. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he sat and he starts crying, severely crying. And people, they confused. समझते नहीं है कि कुछ रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने तो ऐसा कहा भी नहीं है that it would evoke such a strong emotion. But Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he understood what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was saying. No one understood. No one appreciated, because they had this connection that the slave in this example was whom? It was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the choice of this life and the hereafter, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam has chosen the hereafter, i.e. that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, soon he would leave from this world. And this is why he was crying. So he understood this. At this point, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said these words. He mentioned about Sayyidina Abu Bakr, about him being, how if he was to take a Khalil other than Allah, then he would have taken Abu Bakr as his intimate friend. And then he said the following words. He said, let no door remain open to the masjid except for the door of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. The ulama, they say this is one of the strongest indications to the Khilafah of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. उस ज़माने में लोग उनके जो घर थे, उनका दरवाज़ा मस्जिद की तरफ खोलता. So like you can see these doors, there would be a house behind the door. So they would open the door would enter into the masjid. Rasulullah is saying all of the doors should be closed except for one door, the door of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Rasulullah himself, he would open his door and he would come to do imamat in the masjid. So he's indicating towards the leadership of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. And not only this, in many occasions this happened, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on one occasion, the Bani Amr ibn Auf, एक कबीला, उनके दरमियान कुछ झगड़ा हुआ. रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सुलह करने के लिए गए. बिलाल को कहा कि अगर मैं वापस नहीं आया और नमाज का वक्त कम हो गया तो आप अजान देना, गिव दी अजान, और अबू बकर को हुक्म देना कि वो नमाज पढ़ाए. You give the azan, O Bilal, if I'm not back in time, tell Abu Bakr to lead the namaz. और ऐसा ही हुआ. वक्त गुजरता गया, when it was short time, at that point, Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anh, he gave the adhan. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he moved forward to lead the namaz. And as this was happening, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he began to move backwards. Rasulullah ne ishara kiya कि आप अपनी जगह में रहे. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he raised his hands, he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Rasulullah had given him such honor, and then regardless he moved back from his place anyways. Yani, what is this showing? This is showing the extreme adab of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. That Rasulullah is saying, stay in the place. You are the Imam, you stay as the Imam. But Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he's showing that sometimes, when you're commanded towards something, even though someone might command you towards something, sometimes adab takes a higher level. And we gave the example of Durood Ibrahim. Rasulullah said, pray Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. But the ulama say that it is better to pray Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. You need adab takes it. Sometimes ustaz will say to you, don't stand up for me. But the respect is you stand up for him anyways. He'll say, leave my shoes, don't take my shoes. But the respect is that you take the shoes anyways. Adab sometimes takes a higher precedence. This is an example of this. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he moved back even though the Prophet said, stay in your place. And this was well before. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, it is not fitting, ye sahi nahi hai ke kuch logo ke darmiyan Abu Bakr ho aur koi aur imamat kare. He had already said this. Rasulullah had already said that he would be the Imam if he was not present. And Rasulullah had said that the one who should be the Imam is the one who has the most knowledge of the Quran Kareem. Jiske paas sabse zyada ilm ho Kitabullah ka, wohi imamat karega. So in two ways, Rasulullah is saying that Sayyidina Abu Bakr is the most intelligent by saying that he should be the Imam as well. And we have seen on numerous occasions that when the other individuals, they were unaware, then it was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. When the Prophet uses the word Imam, by the way, ये भी बात याद रखनी है कि हमारी ज़ुबान में इमाम तो सिर्फ इमाम नमाज होता है. The word Imam is used for the leader of the namaz. लेकिन अरबी लुग़त में जो सबसे top position होता है, जैसे कि president, Khalifa, उसको भी Imam कहते हैं. Now listen to the hadith. It is not fitting amongst those people whom Abu Bakr is present that somebody else should be the Imam. So this is in two ways Rasulullah is saying about the namaz, yes, but he's also saying about leadership in general. Another indication that the Rasulullah gave was the year before the farewell pilgrimage, Hajjul Wida, the first Hajj in Islam. The first Hajj in Islam, 300 companions they went. So Rasulullah did not go on this Hajj. And who usually leads the Hajj? The person who is at the top, the Sultan. Rasulullah khud nahi gaye the. But who does he send to lead the Hajj? The Hajj before the farewell pilgrimage, he sent Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. Now look, when Sayyidina Abu Bakr becomes the Khalifa, the year before he passes away, he sends Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala to lead the Hajj. This is a sign, an indication. Now in the farewell pilgrimage, why was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, was he there, was he not there? The answer is this. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he set out with the Prophet ﷺ on the farewell pilgrimage, Hajjul Wida. Lekin darmiyan mein, his wife, she was pregnant and they had a son. So he was held back slightly for this reason. This was the only son that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq he had whilst in Islam. And what do you think he named that son? He named him Muhammad. Yes. Look how much love he had for Rasulullah. The other two sons, Abdul Rahman and Abdullah, they were born before Islam. This was the only son he had in Islam. And what does he name him? He names him Muhammad. Now on the farewell pilgrimage again, when Rasulullah was mentioning Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum, today the religion is complete, deen mukammal hua hai, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he was crying. He understood just from the ishara of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that this was going to be the final days, the final moments of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In this manner, when Rasulullah enters into his final illness, a woman, she comes and she says, Ya Rasulullah, she asks a question. Rasulullah says, Ke aap wapas aana, come back another time. But Rasulullah is unwell. तो पूछते हैं कि अगर मैं वापस आई और आप न हो, यानी indicating to Prophet I'm leaving from this world. I come back and you are not here, then who shall I go to? And Rasulullah says, go to Abu Bakr Siddiq. Anas says that Banu Mustalik, they sent me when Rasulullah was in his last illness, कि अगर आपके बाद जो zakat है, sadaqat है, who should we give it to? And who did Rasulullah say? He said, Abu Bakr. Yani time and time again. अब लोग जो एतराज़ करते हैं वो यूँ करते हैं, they bring a particular hadith, it's called hadith kirtas, the hadith of the paper, that in the final moments, the final illness, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked the people to bring some paper and some writing equipment. He wanted to write something down. तो अब जो है लोग एतराज़ करते हैं कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम चाहते कि इस बंदे को खलीफा बनाए, लेकिन they stopped him and so on and so forth. लेकिन आप हदीस मुकम्मल पढ़ें, look at the entire narration, bring all the narrations together. Who did the Prophet सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम say to go and get the writing paper? It was the son of Abu Bakr Siddiq, Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Bakr, number one. Number two, why were the companions hesitant? Because Rasulullah sallallāhu alaihi wasallam asked for the paper and then he went out of consciousness, then he would come back into consciousness. He was going in and out of consciousness, and they said that why should we trouble Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We already know what he wants to write down. Eventually the paper and the pen was brought, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, leave it. There's no need. He said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I have no doubt that after me that people would choose anyone other than Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala. यानी मैंने इतना जाहिर किया है कि सब लोग को मालूम है, and this is exactly what happened. Exactly as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. They all recognized the superiority, the fazila, the excellence of Abu Bakr Siddiq, and they made him the first Khalifa. So these are, these minor objections. People, they take these small objections and they make huge things out of it. Huge stories out of it. And this is injustice, ye na insafi hai. This is just causing division amongst the Muslims. One of the greatest signs from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq must be the Khalifa after him was when he was in his final illness. He commanded whom to lead the prayer? He commanded that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq should lead the prayer. Whilst Rasulullah was alive for 8 days, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he led a total of 17 namaz. And at this time, revelation was still coming. Abibi wahi nazil ho rahi thi. If it was wrong for Abu Bakr to lead the prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have commanded. He would have revealed some verses saying that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq should not lead the prayer. So Rasulullah, he commanded that Sayyidina Abu Bakr lead the prayer. Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she said that my father, Abu Bakr, he has a very soft heart. वो आपकी जगह में नहीं खड़े हो सकेंगे. He won't be able to stand in your place. He will become very emotional. He will not be able to lead the namaz. Rasulullah again, he said, tell Abu Bakr to lead the prayer. Time and time again, he would command. On one occasion when Abu Bakr was late, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he stepped forward. वो आगे गए नमाज पढ़ाने के लिए. Rasulullah sallallahu हुजरे में Sayyidina Umar का आवाज सुना, Allahu Akbar. Rasulullah became angry. He came into Jalal. He said, Allah and His Rasul are not happy with anyone other than the son of Abu Quhafa. The ulama, they say, look, this puts the situation. If there was anyone who was worthy of leading the namaz, it should have been Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. He has all of the qualities. He has a loud voice. Yes, he's one of the most supreme of the companions. The highest ranking of the companions. Rasulullah could have said, it's fine, Umar is okay as well. But no, why was Rasulullah insistent? Why is he pushing so much Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr? To show that this is not a minor thing. I am telling you something with this action of mine. ये जो मैं हुक्म फरमा रहा हूँ, इससे आप समझ ले मैं क्या कहना चाहता हूँ. What I want to say, it should be completely clear for you. This is why when Sayyidina Jibreel descended and Rasulullah ने पूछा कि ए जिब्रील मुझको अबू बकर की फजीलत के बारे में कुछ बताए. Tell me about the excellence of Abu Bakr. What did Sayyidina Jibreel say? He said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if I had the number of years that Nuh was amongst his people, yani 950 years, if I had that many years to mention the excellence of Umar, even then the time would not be enough. In regards to Umar, who did Rasulullah ask about? Abu Bakr. He said, if I had the number of years that Nuh was amongst his people, even this would not be enough to do about the excellence of Umar. And Umar is one good deed in the deeds of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. He's one hasana. He's one good deed in the good deeds of Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Once Rasulullah was with Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa. They were lying down. They were looking at the stars. Rasulullah's head was in the lap of Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala. Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, she asks a beautiful question. She says, Ya Rasulullah, koi aisa bhi hai, jinke jo neek a'mal hai, wo sitare ke barabar ho, they're equal to the number of the stars in the heaven. Is there anyone who has this many good deeds? And the scientists, they can't even count the number of stars. They don't know exactly. But Rasulullah says, yes. There is an individual whose good deeds are equal to the number of stars in the heaven, and that is Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. So Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, she heard this, she thought maybe that her father would be mentioned. So Rasulullah says, Oh Aisha, in regards to your father, that all of the good deeds of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and they equal to one good deeds of the actions of your father Abu Bakr. Yani this is his maqam and martabat. Begin to understand this individual. This is why there was no discussion. There was no arguing. All of the arguments that happened, it came after. In the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and in regards to his excellence, there was no doubt. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu ta'ala says, Rasulullah ke zamane mein, we used to say, हम कहते थे कि Rasulullah के बाद जो सबसे अफजल है वो है अबू बकर और उमर रदियल्लाहु ta'ala anhuma. Agar ye ghalat hota, then it would be farz upon Rasulullah to correct them. But Rasulullah did never said anything against this. So all of this, my dear brothers, is an indication. And this is why, right close to when Rasulullah was going to leave from this world, kya hua tha? Rasulullah had some energy, some strength was returned to him. He took support from his family. He came into the masjid. Who was leading the namaz? Abu Bakr Siddiq. He's completely engrossed in the prayer. The companions, they start giving ishara to him that Rasulullah is coming. Rasulullah tells him to stand in his place. This time he doesn't let him come back. He tells him to stand in his place. He goes and he sits next to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. And now there's a discussion, who led the prayer, who was the imam and who was the muqtadi. The correct position is this, that Rasulullah led the namaz. But at this point, because of the illness, Rasulullah's voice was very low. So Rasulullah is leading the namaz, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq is stood next to him, and whatever Rasulullah is saying, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he's repeating so the people behind, they can follow. Now tell me, my dear brother, is there any more indication that you need? The final prayer, they say, that Rasulullah performed in congregation, it was with Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. After this, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as we know, he parts from this world. Everyone is in shock. Okay, and I'm going to finish with this. This is where Rasulullah, why he chose Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. Look at his emotional intelligence. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, when Rasulullah left from this world, because he was recovering a bit, to ijazat mangi, कि Ya Rasulullah, you got strength now. Is it okay कि मैं family को मिलने के लिए जाऊँ? He wanted to go out of Medina to a small area called Sun, where some of his family was present. Rasulullah gave him permission. वो चले गए. And in that time, Rasulullah, he left from this world. There was a lot of wisdom in Sayyidina Abu Bakr being away. People, they broke down. They completely, imagine losing a loved one. Now imagine losing that with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of creation. They say Sayyidina Uthman, he just sat down in the masjid, he couldn't say a single word. Sayyidina Ali, he stayed behind in the house of Sayyidah Fatima. Sayyidina Umar, he was so angry, he unsheathed his sword. And he said, anyone who says that Rasulullah has passed away, I will sever their head. He has gone to, just like Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he went to his Lord for 40 days. Rasulullah has gone like this. He will come back, and those who were hypocrites, he will kill them. People were in hysteria. People passed away listening to, when they heard about the information that Rasulullah had passed away. But amongst all of this chaos, amongst all of this emotion, there's one individual. When he comes, he glides past all of them. He walks straight through all of this emotion, all of this turmoil. He goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He rests his head upon his chest, he's crying. He says, Ya wa nabiyya, wa safiyya. And then he uncovers the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he says, Tibta hayyan wa tibta mayyita. Beautiful in life and beautiful in death as well. He kisses the forehead of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If anyone should have been torn apart, torn limb from limb, if anyone's heart should have been broken, if anyone should have been affected by the passing of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the most, it should have been Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. But look at his composure. He exits from the house. He enters into the masjid. He goes to the front of the masjid. He begins to speak. He asks Umar to sit down. Sayyidina Umar, he's in such a state he can't even hear. He tells him to sit down again. He can't hear. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr, he just starts speaking. And the words he says, and remember, these words are not to dismiss Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These words are to bring the people back, to make them understand, to give them strength at a time of such great emotion. What does he say? He says, those of you who are worshipping Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, तुम में से जो लोग Rasulullah sallam की इबादत कर रहे थे, तो जान लो, then know that Rasulullah sallam has passed on to the next life. But if you are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then know that Allah is Al-Hayy, the one who lives and he will never die. Look at how he gives strength to the Muslims. And then he recites the verse of Surah Al-Imran. مَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. And the companions, they must have read these verses maybe 100, 1,000, hundreds of thousand times. But their attention was never towards the verse. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr, when he says these words, he recites the verse of the Quran that Muhammad is but a messenger of Allah. And before him many messengers have passed. So if he dies or he is killed, whoever turns back on his heels, he does not harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he recited these verses, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu फरमाते हैं कि ऐसा था कि कभी हमने ये अल्फाज हमने सुने ही नहीं थे. It's as though we had never even heard this verse of the Quran, because we had never paid attention towards it. But as soon as we heard these verses, the realization, it came upon us. We began to understand that Rasulullah has left from this world. There's nothing that we can do about that. But what we can do is we can continue the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is why some of the scholars, they tie an entire chapter in the Fada'il of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, when Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, he saved humanity. And they include this narration inside. Because at that time, there was no one other than Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. Because when the people, they saw that if anyone should have been upset, it should have been Abu Bakr. But if he is being able to withstand it, and he is showing this level of intelligence, and this bravery, and this strength, then in the strength of Abu Bakr, we will find strength as well. And he was able to gather the companions together and to continue upon this mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is why he was elected as the first Khalifa. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we will continue on this. We will mention what happened after this, how he led the Muslims, and how he followed in the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For today we finish here. We make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May he forgive us for our major and minor sins. May he give us the ability to follow in the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the footsteps of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali radiyallahu ta'ala alayhim ajma'een. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in this life and in the hereafter. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.